for the leaders, the dreamers, the doers, the breakthroughers, the visionaries, the revolutionaries, the luminaries. Those who see sport as the vehicle for change and don't just go along for the ride. They take the wheel, turn the tide, rise to an air rarefied. They elevate their play, dictate the pace, join the debate, and challenge public discourse to create a better future. A future that exists so bright because of the pioneers of yesterday and today that looked at the rules and the norms and the status quos and said no thanks. For those who dare to aspire, who fought and perspired, who've inspired the next generation of competitors and champions, record breakers and ceiling breakers, leaders, victors, doers, game changers. We love you. We salute you. And through our play, tomorrow and today, we continue your charge.
Hey everyone, I am Nneka Ogwumike and I'm here with my sister.
Hello everybody, I am Chiney and Nneka Ogwumike. Nneka, why don't you introduce yourself? I know, but you tell the people who you are.
I just introduced myself.
Okay, give a little bit more background. For you're officially old and I'm kind of old, removed from Stanford. So for those who may not know, back in the, 2008 to 2012, right?
Yeah.
What's been going on?
Oh, well, I am a Stanford grad. I played at Stanford from 08 to 12 and have been with the LA Sparks ever since. And I am currently the WNBPA president. And I'm happy to be here to have a chat with some current Stanford Cardinal and, of course, with my sister.
Yes, Vice President WNBPA. Thanks, Nneka, for recruiting me, as you've always recruited me to all your teams, whether it's Stanford or the Sparks. Also work for ESPN as a broadcaster, as an NBA analyst, and a radio host. And I'm very, very grateful and glad to be back home with family, literally and metaphorically. So should we bring the young ladies in?
I think we should. Let's just have this chat. Hello. How are you guys doing?
Hi. Hi.
I love, you guys are coordinated, me and Chiney are coordinated, so it works out really nicely. Oh, that's cool.
Outfits on point.
Right. Okay, well, so obviously, we are having this conversation virtually because of what has been going on in the world for over a year now, a little bit over a year now. And that's kind of the basis of this conversation. Although as heavy as the subject of coronavirus and pandemic have been, we do want to keep this conversation, I guess, not too heavy, as light as possible, but also, of course, as honest as possible, because I personally believe that student athletes have brunt a lot of the struggle and the challenges of what it's been like to be in season and in school this year. And so we kind of want to talk to you guys about that. And of course, you can feel free to ask us questions as well, because we have a little bit of experience. Well, I do have a little bit of experience of playing in a bubble. And, this past year has been pretty crazy, but through it all, people still fight valiantly. And we see that through the program. I love watching you guys. It's been amazing. It's actually funny because the last time I saw you guys was when we played you guys at Stanford during the USA tour around this time. Well, actually a little bit earlier last year. So it's crazy that that's been a year from now, and so I guess we just want to kind of talk to you guys about that. And I guess my first question would be, and this is for anybody really, before this year started, like, what did you expect, knowing what was happening?
I mean, I can kind of say something. I remember when we got the text that we were going to be coming, or we were on Zoom, and Tara was like, okay, we're coming back. And this was like a couple weeks before we were going to be back on campus. So it was like a crazy change of events. We thought there wasn't going to be a season, then there was. And so it's kind of all this craziness happening at one time. So for me personally, coming back, I was like, I don't know if we're going to make it to 2021. I don't know if we'll be playing. Like, it was kind of up in the air. So honestly, for me coming back, it was like, I hope we can play a game, and I'll be happy if we can play a game together. And then really, really happy now that we've played almost 21 games or something like that, something crazy. So yeah, it's awesome.
That's really cool, because that's the perspective that I feel like we can see from you guys when you guys hit the court. Because y'all, I was very fortunate to see you guys very recently when you guys came to Los Angeles, and my goodness, to be number one ranked for a large portion of the year, but doing that on the road this season, my goodness, I heard not only what you guys had to do, but also the support staff to keep you guys available, whether it is taking tests, just isolating yourself from your own school, levels to that. Can you guys sort of tell me what it's been like? And I guess I'll go to you, Kiana, like being a veteran leader, but also having this being a season on the road and also competing at the highest level.
Yeah, that 9 weeks on the road, it was for sure a challenge, but I think for the most part, we leaned on each other to get through every single day. And Tara did a really good job of reminding us of little things we're living out of a hotel, but we're driving to practice and you see homeless people on the side of the road who don't know where they're going to get their next meal from. So just her reminding us of that, and then leaning on one another to get through that practice or to get through the day was really beneficial. And me, Anna, and Alyssa, I think we did a decent job of, just trying to check in on, especially our younger players, but checking in on each other, checking in on the underclassmen, and making sure that, they're mentally okay, because it's tough being in isolation. Yeah, we're around each other, but, sometimes you get tired of seeing the same people every day. Yeah, it was fun times, but I'm glad we got through it, and now we got to have a 3-game homestand to finish out the regular season. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chiney said, it's one thing to be number one, but to be number one on the road and successfully do that without having any real coronavirus scares, I felt as though, there should have been an asterisk next to you guys, because not only were you winning, but you were also negative for coronavirus, and you were on the road. And I just feel as though there was more than just the basketball ranking at number one at that point. I just thought that it was insane that it was happening, but not so surprising because it's Tara, So I was actually not surprised at how successful it was. And I guess I speak from the position of, I played in a bubble, and I think that in this world of, everyone being at home, and then also sports kind of providing an escape or, a moment of solace for people who are dealing with a lot at home, it's nice, but then it's also something, there's a lot lacking in what people understand the experience to be for you in your daily lives to play, and for people to enjoy watching you, for that to be on TV. It takes a lot in this time. And so I guess, Anna, I want to ask you, give us a day in the life for practice, a day in the life for a game, because people really need to know. Because I know when I was in the bubble, people were like, oh yeah, we get to watch sports. And I was like, do you know what it took for us to get to go on the court? And all of the people around us that are making it happen. So walk us through, I guess, a day in the life now.
Yeah, so it's obviously so different than being on campus. Obviously, when we were on the road, there was one day when we were on our way to practice, and actually the lights were out at the facility that we were practicing at, and we were actually practicing at a high school facility. And so that was kind of one of those like really strange days that we were having, obviously because of the circumstances of, something that was obviously not in our control. And so much of the season has not been in our control. And so I think that for a large portion, like it's pretty much the same in terms of, preparing for practice, but obviously we have transitions that we normally wouldn't have in terms of like getting on a bus and going to practice and getting taped in the lobby of the hotel. And we're obviously wearing masks when getting taped downstairs in the lobby, and then busing from the hotel to the gym and then busing back and all of those things. Obviously, it's so much different. And obviously, I think that added an element of adversity to what we were doing already. And I remember that day specifically because everyone had actually brought their homework to do on the bus on our commute to the gym. And then all of a sudden we were actually practicing in the gym because the lights came back on. And so it was like all of these things were kind of happening. And so it's just pretty crazy kind of what we were going through. But I think that it's pretty like standard in terms of like, going to the gym and everything. I think the biggest thing was just the added transitions that we normally wouldn't have. So, yeah.
And let's lean into that, because you said something that a lot of people, especially as Nneka was saying, like she did it in the professional ranks where you have a bubble and all you do is basketball and also social justice. You know what I'm saying? But, for you guys, for what you guys have been able to do as young women to not only compete at the highest level, but talk about school. So Fran, how has school been this year? Because everyone is operating largely virtually. So as you compete on the court, what about off the court? What has life been like academically as a student? And when, it's always different when we all know it's Stanford University as well.
Yeah, I think it's actually really interesting for my case, just because I like a lot of us, we planned our schedule around practice and knowing we'd have practice from 1 to 4. And so all of my classes are around that time. But because like Anna said, we had to leave earlier for each trip. We left on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on the trip, because we couldn't play at home. All of a sudden, we're like at Utah, for instance, and I had a class during practice time. So everyone's yelling in the gym and I'm just in here, like in my class, trying to hear everyone. I tried to say something, you just hear Kate. I just had to turn the mic off. And then when we went up to Washington State, it happened again. I was in practice for a solid 10 minutes and I had to head out to class. And so it's just like things like that, where not only are we doing all this extra traveling, but now with classes, you have to kind of figure out when you have class, when can we have practice, when do we have to leave the bus. We had some days where there were 5 people on the bus, like in a class, because practice ran a little late and then the bus got slow leaving. And so we're all in class on the bus, just trying to get through it. And I think that was definitely something that made our whole experience more different, because at other schools, you finish practice, you just walk over to your dorm and you're ready to go. You might not even have classes after. Whereas we're trying to figure out how to do class and make sure we're in class, because we could be on the plane or in the bus or in practice. And it was a lot, but we definitely persevered through it. I think that made our team as a whole stronger.
Nneka, you hear that? You're going to get these 10 minutes of practice in, Coach Tara. You're going to get these 10 minutes of practice in before you go to class.
Happening. The resilience that you guys are exuding, it's actually quite remarkable, because I know I would have been panicking. That's for sure. I guess like for the upperclassmen, maybe Lexie or Kiana, you can answer this, but it's for all of you guys. If you had to kind of like think about your perspective now, whether it's school, whether it's being on the court in practice or engaging with your teammates, like, how is it different now that you've experienced like what the typical experience would be, and now what it feels like, chasing a championship during these types of, these times?
I mean, personally, I think it's really taught us to not take a single day, a single practice for granted. I remember after we were playing ASU, I had to go in, 3 of us had to go into a 10-day quarantine. And so in those 10 days, having to watch our team play, it was like, we'd experienced it last season, having our season cut short, and then having to miss games made me like even reevaluate my perspective and say, I learned this already. I already knew not to take a season for granted. And now I was like relearning, don't take a game for granted, don't take a practice for granted. So it really has taught me to live in the moment and to just really enjoy every second, because who knows when the end is going to be.
And speaking of enjoying every second, let's try to like uplift the mood, because y'all have been real warriors and champions out there. And we enjoyed every second of that win when Tara became the all-time winningest coach in the women's game. So much so, which y'all know, I had to get her on a radio show. She was like, did y'all see what they got me? Did y'all see the like, she's like, that was so amazing. So Anna, maybe starting with you, what was that like, seeing and experiencing being a part of, because I think I was a part, Nneka, what were you part? I was part of like 700 and 800, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I was a part of anyone that they like really celebrate. I don't know if they were, that I was there for that. I'm not sure. I'm wrong. I don't know.
Nneka, you were in the old school days where we didn't celebrate wins, like, you know what I mean?
We did not.
You know, Tar's cool. Tar's hip, and we're celebrating, and we love it. We celebrate every moment. So maybe, what did you say, Nneka?
Tar's with it now. She's with it now.
She's with it. She's with it. So, you know, the milestone of, you know, tying Pat Summitt and then, you know, obviously breaking the record and becoming the all-time winningest coach. Can you guys take us behind, obviously, the amazing swag that she called it, but also starting with you, Anna, just that run, that special run?
Yeah. So I was here when Tara got to 1,000, and then obviously here when she tied it, and then obviously here when she beat the record. And so like, I feel like I'm going to be here maybe when she hits 2,000, but it's just been really, really amazing to be a part of it all. And obviously with this group, I couldn't ask for a better group to be a part of. And so I'm really excited that I've been able to be here this year. I'll let Fran really speak to the whole swag though, because that's all Fran. And so I'll let her talk about that.
Well, I feel like this one was because of Lexie, because Lexie actually wore her swag. But yeah, I got it comfy last year. I got made fun of it, and no one liked it yet. Everyone has one now, so here we go. But yeah, Tara really liked Lexie's, and I thought she just liked the color, but I guess she just liked everything about it because she also liked mine and Haley's. So I was talking to, I think, Alyssa at practice one day. I was like, we should get Tara comfy for Christmas. And Alyssa's like, yeah. And then Ash was like, no, we should give it to her when she breaks the record. And so of course we all got on board with it. I think Anna had the idea to get T-Dog on the back and how to make that happen. And she's very excited about it. She wears it when we go to testing. She's always saying how much she loves it. We got pictures of it. So I'm glad she's putting it to good use.
T-Dog was an excellent touch. An excellent touch. I'm so happy that you guys did that for her because, you know, you're never going to be able to tell her that she doesn't have swag now. That's right. Okay. So I guess, you know, I feel like this is a question that is asked of almost every athlete in this year, and speaking specifically to like, you know, celebrating a moment that was so amazing and not having people there but yourselves. I think it was an intimate moment, of course, because you guys were all there and we were celebrating with you guys virtually. But what has it been like without having fan there? And I know it's different at Maples because Maples was bumping when we were there. That's for sure.
Rocket.
So, like, what has it been like? What have you guys tried to do to jazz it up? You know, when we were in the bubble, it was strange. It was very strange. And we had 2 courts, so you could hear the other game, and you're just like, very much like AAU. But we just took it upon ourselves to be the loudest in the gym, which I see you guys you bring the Benergy. I know, is that still a word? The Benergy? Okay. You bring the Benergy. I see that. But Kiana, how about you talk to us about what's it like? What do you miss? What is nice about it? Because there's a double-edged sword to it all, I think.
Yeah, it's very different. Obviously not having fans. I think at least for me, the first game, just getting used to that crowd simulated noise. To me, it's so annoying. But just trying to block that out and listen to each other. I think for me, it helps me because I'm told I'm not loud enough. So not having the fans yelling, maybe they can hear me better. But yeah, for sure, miss our fans. And even just like before the games, walking to Jimmy V's, getting your pregame meal and having little conversations with them. I miss those interactions with our fans. They're super supportive. There's a lot of things that I miss, but I for sure have to say just the little fan interactions off the court.
Is it true that Tara has like a walkie-talkie or a megaphone to help amplify her voice?
She tried.
It did not work at all.
Tried, but it didn't work.
I think it lasted about maybe a game, I think.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I was like, I heard about this. I didn't know. Everyone's trying to be creative. And speaking of which, being creative this year, how have you guys found, and maybe, I'll start with you, Lexie, how have you guys found a way to be creative and just bring that energy on the floor when it's a unique circumstance with no fans and you're dealing with all the testing and the schooling? So to be able to keep, tip-top, shape and also compete at a high level in the Pac-12, which is the most competitive conference. What have you guys done creatively? How do you feel like as a team, whether it's off the court, with team bonding, or on the court, how you approach games?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for us is to just stay together and stay as one. And that really comes down to our off the court, the things that we do. We go on little coffee walks. We'll walk wherever we are. We'll walk to Starbucks or walk to a different coffee shop in the area. And that was really fun. And it really brought us closer. We'd also watch a lot of we watch Bachelor every week together and in the ballroom of whatever hotel we were at. So we could be socially distanced. And I mean, just finding little ways like that to kind of work around the social distancing rules, but still be able to share time together and hang out. I think that's really important for us. And then in terms of basketball stuff, we just kind of have to follow whatever guidelines there are. And that's been the big struggle. Being on the road, we didn't have time to go shoot on our own. So we had the 3-hour practice slot and that's all we got. So being back has been nice. We have more freedom to kind of go in the gym at certain hour blocks of the day, but just kind of finding ways to make it work. And I think we're all very supportive of each other. And that's something that's really special about this team is that we want the best for everyone and we're here and supportive for each and every person.
Well, I'm glad you guys are staying social because it's incredibly important. But you're right, Kiana. It's hard to see the same faces every day and try to make it feel different. So you have to get creative. But I guess this is going to be my question for you, Fran. What's the first thing you're going to do, assuming that things go back to normal at some point in time while you're still at Stanford? What's the first thing you're going to do?
I don't know. I mean, the rest of them can tell you I'm more of a homebody anyway. So, I don't know. I might. Well, right now we're in limited quarantine. We can't even really leave campus. I'm
not talking about this year. I'm talking about.
Oh, in general.
Yeah, in general, if it becomes normal at all before you graduate.
Anybody.
I honestly miss going to other teams, going and supporting other teams. I think that was a big thing we did last year as a team. We were at volleyball games, soccer games all the time. Never got to experience some of the spring sports. So I think just being able to go and experience other teams' games and be there and support them and not have to worry about how close I am to my teammates, I think is probably what I'm most excited for.
Anybody else?
I have my fingers crossed for graduation. They just going to be virtual, but I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to walk across that stage.
The first thing I was thinking, I was like, if it were me, the first thing I would do is I'm going over to Lagunitas and getting a meal.
Nneka, okay, listen to this. Nneka only says that because she loved the donuts at Lagunitas. So that was her go-to.
Not just the donuts. Log has the best cafeteria. I don't care what anybody says. Maybe it's different now, but when I was there, Log had the best cafeteria. Maybe Robley sometimes, but
And I know, I feel like times have changed because I was always going and eating with Nneka because Nneka always had the food. So I don't have another take on that. But, I'm curious because like we talked about you guys as a unit together on the court, off the court, but how about your family? Lexie, being able to play with your sister too. How have your families been involved, engaged, motivated you guys in this whole season where I'm sure they're worried about you guys and would rather have you guys home during this time, but you guys are making huge sacrifices to chase a title, in the middle of a pandemic. So how have your families been involved?
I think they're doing, everything they can. This Christmas, normally we'd get to go home and spend a couple days at home with them and see our entire family. And that was really hard and a hard transition to make to this season. But I think a lot of our families had the opportunity to come to the Bay Area and we got to socially distance, see them and spend some time with them over the holidays, which was really special. And my parents brought one of our dogs down. So if you know anything about Lacey and I, you know that we love our dogs. So we got to see one of them, which was really fun. But they're just, I think everyone's families are very supportive, sending us little care packages, giving us gifts, which is completely unnecessary, but we appreciate more than anything. I think they're just, sending supportive messages and keeping us grounded and loving us every step of the way. And that's something that we couldn't do without.
So looking forward, I know that Tara does an amazing job of making sure, things are addressed and focused on in the moment. But, this is at the end of the day, Stanford has gotten this far with an amazing season. And we look forward to watching even more competitive matchups leading up into March Madness. And I think that March Madness last year was a huge blow for everyone because we were all looking forward to just to watch some great basketball and especially celebrate women in sport. And so I'll direct this question to you, Anna. Moving forward, the goal, we know what the goal is, So what are you guys focused on right now? How is it preparing now? What does it look like? What are we looking forward to? I guess, what are the short-term goals that what are you guys talking about in the locker room to be able to get to where you want to be? Because I have my fingers crossed that I'll be able to see you guys in San Antonio too, because there's a lot of things going on and what's going to ultimately be like a huge bubble, a huge
the world's largest bubble.
So I'm hoping that I get to go because we have some USA stuff, but to be able to watch, obviously, you guys compete. So what is it looking like as you guys look towards the future to prepare?
Yeah, so this season we've had this concept of being all in. And so I think that's something that we're really looking forward to is obviously we're coming to a close of the Pac-12 and we're really looking forward to playing Arizona and Arizona State and Cal to close out, the regular season of the Pac-12. And, so that's our first stop. And then our next stop is the Pac-12 tournament. Obviously hoping that happens and hoping that NCAA still happens and everything. But, we're really looking forward to those matchups and everything. And obviously, I'm really excited to see what we do in the Pac-12 tournament, considering that, it's three days back to back and really looking forward to seeing some people step up and play really well in that tournament. Obviously, something that we've been talking about all season is winning a championship, whether that's the regular season, the Pac-12 tournament, and also a national championship and getting to the Final Four. And so, I'm really, really excited about that. I'm excited to see what everyone does on their night. And so I think that's something that we're really focused on. And of course, the whole message of this whole season is just staying healthy and getting to look forward to practice and getting prepared for those big games. So, yeah.
Just know we are sending you guys the most positive vibes because one of the fun facts that Nneka and I always held on to hoping that we'd win a championship was that the last time Stanford won championships were our birth years, 1990 and 1992. And yes, we weren't born in the 2000s like you young folk or whatever that is. But, at the end of the day, we are so immensely proud of you guys, Lexie, Anna, Fran, and Kiana, for the leadership you guys show both on and off the court. Being able to watch you guys persevere Nneka and I, with every opportunity, we shout you guys and celebrate you guys from the podium, from the pulpit, because to be number one for an extended period, to set the standard, you know, academically and athletically, and do it with grace and do it, you know, putting each other in front of, you know, first, it just is so admirable. And I feel like you guys are, you know, role models to so many for persevering in a season where a lot of people find difficulties in making the good situation out of what has been something that has been extremely tough for so many. So we are proud of you. Y'all are our sisters in hoop. We look forward to seeing you guys chase the title in the midst of this COVID situation. But we are really grateful to share time with you guys. And I'm sure Nneka feels the same way.
Absolutely. And I got to say too, you know, you guys speak about being all in, and I can feel it when you talk to us, and you got to keep that, because I personally, I know who's going to win this year. Yo. So I'm excited. I'm always, there you go. And I'm always rooting for you guys all the time. I think I share my number with everyone, and I think you guys might all have my number. So, even if you know, in this time in which you guys are persevering and are together, just know you can always reach out to us, because we got your back and we're supporting you, and you guys should know that you're not alone. And I'm going to see you guys in San Antonio.
And I'm going to be Nneka's +1.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.